In the opening scene, we see Josie mixing some batter and receiving a phone call from a friend requesting her to fill in for a sick usherette. At an event later in the evening, Josie feels the pay is quite small. However, she obliges her friend. Towards evening, she hops on a bike and heads to the venue. The organizer splits the ushers into different sections and assigns a task to each of them. Josie's friend Aim is assigned to take the names of guests who will be attending the event. She gets struck by the handsomeness of one of the guests, but Carla pulls him away before she can even catch his name. Later, Aim and Josie are in the washroom fixing their makeup to ensure they look smart and pretty. Aim shares how she was swept off her feet by the guest's handsome face. She confesses that she would have been all over him if only she was single. Josie is less concerned as she's more focused on making money than chasing after a man. In the course of the event, the hottie Aim is crushing on, gets called up the stage to come receive an award on behalf of the absent winner. As Sebastian Solomon walks towards the podium, Josie gets to have a look at him from where she's serving the meals. She holds her gaze on him for a few minutes, wondering what her ex, who is a janitor, is doing in such a massive event. At the end of the event, she scrolls through his page while Aim continues talking about Sebastian's cuteness. While they are busy talking, Sebastian walks over to where they are standing, and almost immediately, Carla comes to drag Aim to go serve the guests. Sebastian hands Josie a glass of wine, and they soon start talking, even though she is responding as though they've had an issue before. Sebastian requests to see her after the event. Minutes later, Josie is panting while sitting on Sebastian's lap in the car. She takes a break from kissing him to clarify that she doesn't have a plan for them to get back together. All she needs is a stress reliever, and he happens to be available. The following morning, Josie wakes up in Sebastian's room, and in surprise, she decides to take a look around at all he has acquired within a short while. He awakes and Josie questions his source of income, seeing that everything in his house looks expensive, especially how he's able to afford all the expensive events he's been attending. She wonders if it's based on his Instagram posts. Sebastian explains to her that he's into sugar dating, a relationship between a sugar baby and a sugar mommy or daddy. His explanations leave Josie amazed at the fact that he is a high-class callboy. Later, Josie meets the rest of Sebastian's friends and colleagues, Mending, Kate, and Abel, who are seated on the dining chairs. He introduces her as his ex. Josie wonders if they all do the same job. He confirms her suspicions, and she's in awe that they are all hoes. They all scream, arguing that they are not hoes. Then they drag Josie outside to give her a lecture on the difference between sugar dating and... Josie believes they are school dropouts, where they've been blacklisted from applying to any company. Sebastian steps in to inform her that Abel is a graduate of computer engineering. Mending, an award-winning indie film actor, is a popular influencer with 1.3 million followers on TikTok, while Kate is doing her master's in European languages, and she also dubs part-time for anime and Korean dramas. Josie stares at them with no expression on her face as they try to convince her that they are into sugar dating by choice. She turns to ask why Sebastian is into it. She gives him a serious face as he suggests she give it a try since it'll help her invest more funds into her pillow business. She informs him that the business is long dead, and in annoyance, she walks out of them. Josie gets back home and prepares to book a rider who will deliver an order made by a customer. Unfortunately, the customer cancels the order, and she's already done with it. Frustrated, she throws a fit because she has used up her last cash to make the customer's order. Then, she sits on the floor sulking in despair. The next day, she visits Sebastian. She reveals that she's ready to join them in their sugar dating business. He welcomes her and guides her through the process of registration via a website. He guides her through the nitty-gritty of being a sugar baby, teaches her how to play her role as the price, and how to get what she wants from her client. He shares some examples of how he handles his women by meeting their emotional needs for really good bonuses. Later, Sebastian and his friends gather together in their living room. Everyone drops the gifts they got from their dates, and they applaud each other's success except for Ben. His sugar mummy isn't financially capable of providing the things he wants, so he decides to adjust for her sake. The others school him as he drops the second-hand laptop he brought back home. He reveals that he made out with his teacher sugar mummy, and Kate mocks him for selling his body. She calls him a whore who sold his body for an ancient laptop, which he'll have to pay for the repairs. Sebastian cautions her and places his price on the table. He got an online business training ticket purchased by Navarro Briggs, who is a life coach. Briggs had paid a huge sum for 10 sessions of his training after going on a coffee date that lasted an hour and shopping for 45 minutes. Kate uses Sebastian's perfect deal to mock Ben for sleeping with his client. A call from Josie interrupts Sebastian, so he excuses himself. Josie shares that she has just gotten her first legit sugar daddy, and he is a dentist. He congratulates her and offers to share with her a piece of advice, but Josie refuses to listen. She believes she's a smart girl and will find her way with her sugar daddy. A while later, Josie comes complaining to Sebastian that her first sugar daddy blocked her after their date. She narrates all that happened and how she kept eating to her fill. She was being authentic with the man, but he chose to block her. Sebastian explains that she's there to play a role and not to be authentic. He reminds her that the reason clients pay so much is because she's supposed to act as their trophy girlfriend, which they do not have for one reason or another. He asks if she applied some makeup and dressed well. This makes Josie wonder if that's probably why Sebastian broke up with her. He accuses her of bringing up the past, which might mean she hasn't moved on yet. She shuts him up and points an accusatory finger at him. She expects he will be able to talk about it casually if he has truly moved on as he claims. He advises her to always remember that she must put effort into building emotional connections if she wants to be a favorite of sugar daddies. Josie thinks back and realizes that she was the center of attention, and she didn't even let her sugar talk all through their date. Instead, she let him to shop for her. She perfectly understands why he later ditched her. She pays attention to all the lessons coming from Sebastian and decides to up her game. For her next date, Josie ensures she is more intentional. She wears her confidence proudly in her stunning short pink dress and coat. She becomes the center of attention for everyone as she walks elegantly into the building and heads straight to her date, who is dazzled at her appearance. She engages the radio station manager, Lurd, in a conversation. She makes sure to apply all Sebastian taught her, and everything works out perfectly well. Lurd even offers to buy her a dress of his own volition and asks his driver, Mr. Theo, to drop her off at her home in his backup car, while he uses his main car to get home. Josie thanks Lurd for allowing her to have some fun, and he gets overwhelmed by how lovable she is and tries to kiss her lips. She pulls back, and he instantly apologizes for getting carried away by his emotion. Instead, she kisses his cheek and wishes him good night while he stands there smiling and holding the cheek. The next morning, Josie arrives at Sebastian's house, and he is taken by how different and classy she looks. He gives her passage into the house so he can go back to swimming with his friends. The others welcome Josie to their club and ask that she show them what she got from her sugar daddy. A few minutes later, they are all sitting in the living room, and they take turns displaying what they have acquired from their sugar partners, while the others applaud if it's worth a lot of money. As soon as Ben brings out his memory pillow worth $2,000, his friends lash out at him for belittling himself by settling for less with his sugar mommy. They surround him, pointing out reasons why he needs to choose between a sugar baby or something else before he ruins both their lives. Josie argues that his reason for accepting cheap things must be because he loves his sugar mummy. Sebastian gets annoyed and quiets everyone. He orders them to get back to the living room, as the food he ordered has arrived. While they are eating, Josie offers to lay out her goods. She shows them a picture of the place her sugar daddy offers to pay for, so she can celebrate her birthday there. She invites them to come to celebrate with her as her way of appreciating them for helping her understand the hustle, especially Sebastian. The others cheer in excitement while Sebastian declines the offer, saying he has a date with one of his sugar mummies, Vive, on the same Tuesday, which is her birthday. Sebastian pays a visit to Vive a few days later. He goes along with a bouquet, and on seeing this, Vive becomes very emotional. She confesses that he's so sweet and hugs him as tears run down her cheek. He holds her and gives her a shoulder to lean on. Meanwhile, Josie is having one of the most amazing times of her life. Her friends and several other people are jamming to the music, while she joins them in the dancing and drinking spree. Aim praises her for doing well for herself and asks for tips on how Josie was able to pull it off, because it wasn't too long ago when she was accepting small gigs, but now she's a big girl. Josie advises Aim to work hard and keep grinding. She stylishly excuses herself to go pee as an excuse to run away from Aim. Josie finds Ben outside on the phone with somebody she suspects must be the teacher. Ben reveals that the woman's name is Maggie and confesses that he's truly in love with her. He thanks Josie for standing up for him in front of his friends. He no longer considers Maggie as his sugar mummy because he declines whenever she offers to buy him something. Sebastian suddenly joins their conversation and focuses the discussion on Ben's case with his sugar mummy. G and Josie mix it up with their personal issues. Ben wonders if they are still talking about him or something else. Josie wonders why Sebastian is present at her party when he is supposed to be on a date with Vive. He reveals that Vive ended things with him and he had met a younger guy at her place. Vive intends to start a real relationship, and the guy will be living with her. So she ends things with Sebastian and thanks him for the fun times he made her enjoy with him. After the party is over, Sebastian and Josie decide to take a walk while discussing his relationship with Vive. He reveals that he would have stayed with Vive, but then he wouldn't have his freedom anymore. Since Josie feels freedom is overrated, he decides to find out what she will do if a sugar daddy offers to house her exclusively along with other juicy packages. Josie is quite intoxicated thanks to the availability of alcohol at the party. She shares her opinion on the matter and accidentally misses a step. Sebastian grabs her just in time before she lands on the floor. He catches her in his arms, and the duo comes face to face with each other as Josie remains in his arms for a few minutes. Josie flashes back to 3 years ago, when Sebastian first came to her house to do some cleanup. She recalls how she was so smitten by his looks that she almost fell, and he caught her right on time just like now. She comes back to reality and questions why he did that, in frustration. Sebastian decides to let her fall to the ground since that's what she prefers. They split up years ago, so he wonders why she keeps talking about the past. Josie insists he tells her what went wrong, even though he always blames her for not listening to him. But she wants to know what she didn't do right. Sebastian takes her down memory lane to the day he found her crying in her room when he came for his cleanup routine. They eventually get talking over a meal and Josie cries out about how she feels burdensome, thinking that one day she will break down because she's struggling with her business and taking care of everything. That day was what gave birth to the beginning of their friendship, as Josie wanted him to come do her cleanups all the time. She invites him over to her place as a friend, and soon their friendship turns into a sexual adventure. Sebastian listens to her talk about everything stressing her out, and then suggests that she needs a partner. She likes him already, so she requests that he be her partner. Their relationship blooms, but Josie always puts her work first and is unwilling to accept help because she believes that she needs both of them to succeed because they are struggling. Josie gets emotional and blames him for cheating on her, but he cuts her short, explaining that he wanted to be a part of her struggles, but she wouldn't let him. She was always too busy to give him time, attention, or emotional connection, which was why he left with someone else. He pours out his heart to her and pleads with her to never ask him to explain his reason for jilting her. He apologizes for hurting her and never understanding why she was so focused on her business. They both agree that the cause of their problem is that they were never clear about what they wanted from each other right from the onset. He admits that's why he likes the idea of sugar dating, as the terms are very clear. Josie confesses that she misses him. Minutes later, they are on a boat kissing each other passionately, while Aim and Abel are exploring each other's mouths. Aim recently broke up with her boyfriend, and she can't wait to date Abel already. She cries pitifully, revealing that she's willing to do anything for him, but Abel insists that she wouldn't want a boyfriend like him. She ends up dozing off on the table as a result of the excess alcohol she has taken. Abel and Ben gently carry her to a quieter environment. With Ben teasing Abel's torrid kiss, he confesses that Amy is his ideal kind of girlfriend. He loves her personality and would like to date her, but he feels she will be hurt when she finds out about the kind of job he's into. Kate walks in and asks for the whereabouts of Josie. The three of them suspect love is in the air between Sebastian and Josie once again. Or probably, the duo is just looking for closure for their split last time. The following morning, the duo wakes up still on the boat by the beach. Josie remembers that they had agreed to spend just an hour. She turns to admire the beach and the gentle waves. It's been a long time since she visited the beach because she's always busy with work. Sebastian asks her to come with him and have some fun in the water. They spend some time in the water playing and laughing hard. Sebastian's friends soon join them, and all 5 of them ensure they enjoy the fun moment. Getting to her apartment, Josie receives lots of gifts from Lurd, who sends them as his way of apologizing for missing her birthday party. He calls her on video call to ensure she has received the gifts. He invites her to dinner sometime later. Josie appreciates him for all the gifts he sent to her, just before he excuses himself to go attend a meeting. Immediately, her call ends with Lurd. Sebastian comes knocking on her door with flowers in his hand. Josie opens the door, and he hands her the flowers as a birthday present. Josie believes she needs to do something in exchange for the gift, so she invites him to lunch. They eventually agreed to have lunch outside instead of at her house. They arrive at the restaurant later, and Sebastian orders quite a lot of things. She is concerned because the amount of meals they've been served is worth more than the flowers he gifted her. However, he reveals that he has already paid for everything, so she doesn't have to bother about it. Sebastian requests for her to come join him for an ocular inspection for a photo shoot session for an online brand partnership he got some time back. The company is expecting him to produce 3 content videos in an outdoor space, especially somewhere he hasn't used before. On the ride home, Lourdes sends a message to Josie, requesting a selfie. She pleads with Sebastian to park the car so she can take some selfies, as she wouldn't want Lourdes asking who she's with. While she's on with the selfies, he walks over to purchase some locally made brooms from a nearby stand. Josie comes back, mocking him for buying the brooms. He doesn't like her tone, so he reminds her that his mother makes brooms for a living. She apologizes and then informs him that she will need to leave so she can prepare for her date with Lourdes. From Sebastian's expression, she could tell that he didn't want her to go see Lourdes. So she teasingly accuses him of missing her until he finally admits that he missed her company. She reminds him of the agreement they made the other day at the beachside before they got laid. They had agreed to the intimacy without any sort of sentimental attachment, money, or favors. Sebastian stares at her, guilty of the accusation. So she suggests they make another arrangement, and he'll get to make the offer. He smiles and makes an offer to give her everything Lourdes usually offers her if she moves her date with Lourdes to the next day. His offer is quite lower than what Lourdes usually does for her, but she decides to call Lourdes requesting she postpone their date. Later, the duo arrives at a local restaurant and Sebastian orders pork and tofu. Josie thinks it's cheap, but she decides to have a taste of the meal, and to her surprise, it's quite tasty. Afterward, the both of them enter a boutique to do some shopping. He offers to raise the budget for the shopping if she clings to his arm. She agrees to do as he says as long as she will be making more money. After the shopping spree, she wonders if he's one of her sugar daddies, but Sebastian suggests she let time tell if he will come back. Before driving her back home, their conversation soon leads to a kiss. On getting to Josie's apartment, he takes the shopping bags to the table while Josie heads straight upstairs. He calls her name severally, but doesn't get any response, so he decides to go check up on her. Surprisingly, he finds her at the top of the staircase in sexy pants and bra, inviting him to spend the night with her. She requests that they revise the terms of their deal, as she knows that sleeping over isn't part of the deal. They adjust their deal until they can make out together, and everything will be based on an exchange. The following morning, Sebastian does the dishes just as agreed the previous night, while tweaking their deal. Josie requests they go out for lunch since she won't be seeing Lourdes until evening. While they are still discussing, Sebastian receives a call from his sugar mummy Lolly. The expressions on their faces become tense. He picks up the phone and walks a little distance away to take his call. Lolly reminds him that they have an agreement to fly to Leeuwarden by noon. He pretends to remember, so he informs her that he's about to take his bath and pack up his bags. He apologizes to Josie and promises to send the money he promised to her because he needs to quickly get going. He comes downstairs to meet her unhappy. As he watches her vacuum the living room sadly, he informs her that he could cancel with Lolly and tell her that he has an emergency so that they can still go out for lunch. But she insists he shouldn't disappoint Lolly, who must be expecting him. He wonders why she has a sad look when she understands the agreement and every move they made the previous day. She tries to stop her tears from falling, but they roll down her face as she denies being sad and pins her sadness on something else. Sebastian requests to make everything between them clear, so he confesses that he's still in love with her. He asks them to be together again. Josie gets up and stares at him in the face. She admits having feelings for him, but every time she remembers what transpired between them, the wound reopens again. She cries her eyes out as she recalls how it made her feel and how she struggles with herself. They spend some more time discussing their lives and how it has been affected by the sugar dating relationship. Josie pleads with him to take his leave and quit confusing her emotionally. In a short while, Sebastian is dressed up, and he looks absent-minded when Lolly's driver comes to pick him up. He requests to quickly drop by somewhere, and in a few minutes he pays his mother a visit, carrying the local brooms he purchased along with him. His mother wonders why he suddenly decides to visit her when he was the one who left without notifying her. He tries to explain why he left, but his mother doesn't consider his reasons as an excuse because he had all he needed, even though they are not rich. Sebastian expresses how she had failed in the areas of giving emotional support, life advice, or even celebrating his birthday in a cheap restaurant. His mom looks like she's in pain, even though she understands that he must have felt that she doesn't have any love for him. She calmly explains that she got pregnant for him as a result of coercion. His father was a total stranger who had ruined her childhood and dreams. The mother and son discuss their issue, and Sebastian comes to understand the reason for her behavior towards him, and the fact that his face must have constantly reminded her of his father and all the things he did to her. He gets off his seat and moves towards her. Sebastian empties his pockets and gives his card to her, so she can go get whatever she wants or even move into a nicer apartment, which he will fund. He encourages her to do everything she wants until she no longer feels empty. However, she rejects the money because she doesn't want to feel like a gold digger. Sebastian cries, wondering what he can do to make it up to her. Then she asks that he visit her more often and probably bring his wife and kids to come see her as well. All she wants is for him to treat her as his mother. The issue between the mother and son eventually gets resolved. Sebastian spends a few days thinking long and hard about everything. He calls all his clients to explain to them, and some of them throw tantrums and some accept it gracefully. He calls for a meeting and informs his friends that he won't continue their sugar dating business again. He reveals the step he has already taken, and Abel requests to be introduced to Sebastian's sugar mummies so he can take over. They all discuss Sebastian's intention, and he makes them realize that he plans to start up his professional dry cleaning business. He makes an offer for them to join him if they are interested, and Ben indicates interest in joining him as he feels it's time to own up to loving Maggie. The others are comfortable in the sugar dating business and have no intentions of quitting. So, Sebastian takes Ben outside to continue discussing with him. After he leaves, Kate reveals that she is thinking of traveling to Europe, and that means they will lose her house, which serves as their headquarters. She tells Abel to prepare to find another place to live. Josie pays a visit to Lourdes, and they are having a nice time as she swims while he takes photos of her. Lourdes confesses how happy he is whenever he sees her. He asks her to permanently be a part of his life. Getting back to her apartment, she thinks deeply as she looks at all the gifts littered all around her room. She gets up to go answer the knock on the door, and it turns out to be Lourdes' wife. The woman is surprised to find out how naive Josie is as she reveals that she had always thought Lourdes was just an old bachelor. Lourdes' wife reveals she's not there to stake claim over Lourdes, but to see the reason behind his absence in the lives of their 2 children. Afterward, she acknowledges Josie's beauty and quietly takes her leave. Josie imagines Lourdes and his wife fighting over her. It takes her down memory lane to when Sebastian was cheating on her, and there's several fights. She starts crying as she imagines how villainy she must have been at Lourdes' home. She cries her eyes out, realizing that she is wrecking that woman's life. Josie picks up her bag and runs out of the suite. Weeks later, Sebastian has kickstarted his cleaning business. He gets hired to clean an apartment, and while he's working with his crew members, Josie walks in with a few people. He stares at her, wondering what's going on. Later, he comes face to face with her, and he reveals that he looked for her Sugar Links account earlier, but it's no longer there. Both of them discover that they quit sugar dating, and they are now into developing their businesses. Sebastian learns she has a staff now, and he is happy to hear that she has finally learned to trust people with her business. Josie remembers she needs to give something to the admin, so she excuses herself to quickly do that. Sebastian comes running behind her. He proposes that she hire his cleaning services for her apartment. She informs him that she is cleaning herself. However, she understands that he's simply looking for an opportunity for them to spend some time together. So she invites him to eat out with her later. Later on, they go on a date in a nice and fancy restaurant. The duo seems to be enjoying each other's company. When the waiter drops the bill, both of them start arguing about who will pay for it. Sebastian assures Josie that when he starts officially courting her again, he will be the one paying the bills. She feels pissed as she gets up to make it clear to him that she still has feelings for him. She gets off her seat and marches towards him. Then she pulls him up and plants a kiss on his lips. The other customers at the restaurant start applauding them, and Sebastian finally pops the question for them to be together. Josie accepts the deal and continues kissing him, while the bystanders cheer them on.